Hello, and welcome to Reality TV News Update, where you'll find the most recent news, entertaining moments, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Who would have thought that with less than 48 hours left of the Big Brother 27 season that we would still have two house guests who refused to go to bed at a decent hour? It was a busy day inside the Big Brother house with R2 of the final HOH taking place, the mastermind's identity being revealed, and Vorgan arguments throughout the early morning hours. Find out who the mastermind is and why Vince and Morgan stayed up until 5:45 a.m. BBT in the following paragraphs. Sign up now to try the live feeds on Paramount Plus so that you don't miss anything else this season. Don't forget to sign up for the Big Brother live feeds right now. Enjoy. Back up and read the daytime highlights report before moving on to overnight events. Big Brother 27 live feed highlights. Friday, September 26, 2025, 4:34 p.m. BBT. Feeds return after nearly 3 hours of downtime. Looks like it could have been an HOH lockdown. 4:40 p.m. BBT. Vince is still complaining about how he couldn't win the competition because he didn't read the instructions completely. Says he should have listened to Morgan and slowed down. Feels bad for yelling at her. 4:45 p.m. BBT. After losing the comp, it appears that Vince yelled, "I'm going to be a broke loser for the rest of my life." 4:50 p.m. BBT. Vince is explaining that he was using the day people were evicted opposed to the order, which is what the instructions told them to focus on. He doesn't know why he was so preoccupied with the day rather than the order. 5:20 p.m. BBT. Morgan tells Vince she is very 50 by 50 about who she is going to take to F2. He says he could find peace in getting second because he knows he won't win next to Morgan. 5:40 p.m. BBT. Morgan tells Vince that there is a good chance that Ashley wins on Sunday night and doesn't take her to F2. Vince doesn't think that Ashley would choose to take him over her when Ashley has said Morgan deserves to win. Morgan thinks that Ashley cutting Morgan going into F2 would solidify votes for Ashley to win. 5:45 p.m. BBT. Morgan asks Vince if he will never talk to her again if she doesn't pick him for F2. He says he would be upset, but he could never not talk to her over that. 6 p.m. BBT. Vince got called to the DR. He goes to the bathroom first and apologizes to Ashley for the way he acted during the competition. 6:20 p.m. BBT. Morgan is telling Ashley about Zach's power that could have saved him the week he was evicted. 6:35 p.m. BBT. Morgan says she can't believe they got to meet Frankie Grande, who hosted the competition, and she also mentions going to see Dr. Will during R2 of the final HOH. Resembles Dr. Will might be the mastermind. 6:40 p.m. BBT. The F3 got Italian takeout for dinner. 7 p.m. BBT. The HGs are all having dinner together. 7:20 p.m. BBT. Morgan tells Vince and Ashley that she thinks Keanu will be one of America's favorites. 7:30 p.m. BBT. The F3 are all talking about the HGs from this season, rehashing events. Etsy. Ashley and Vince mention that they will probably watch the season back, but Morgan says she will not be. 8 p.m. BBT. Morgan worries to Vince that she would lose to both of them in F2. Vince inquires as to why, and Morgan responds that Ashley was in a position where people simply told her things, which greatly aided her. Vince says he didn't realize she knew so much about what was going on in the house. 8:05 p.m. BBT. Morgan says the only way she wins this game is if she wins R3 of the final HOH. Vince doesn't think that's true. Morgan says she is scared to sit next to Ashley because she isn't good with speeches. 8:30 p.m. BBT. Morgan is showing Vince what she has to wear for finale night. Vince says he didn't pack anything for finale because he didn't think he would make it this far. Says he will probably just wear a hoodie. 8:35 p.m. BBT. Ashley is talking to herself outside. Says that if she wins the final HOH, she thinks she can win. Says that she is not going to stop planting seeds about Vince because if she doesn't win final HOH, she needs to ensure that Morgan takes her over him. 8:45 p.m. BBT. Ashley is going over her talking points for her F2 speech. Says the biggest move she made was getting the Judges Alliance to stick together and how that benefited her game when her allies from the beginning of the season were all being evicted. 9 p.m. BBT. Ashley says she knows Will would have chosen Ava over the judges because she was his true F2. 9:10 p.m. BBT. Morgan and Vince are outside playing pool while Ashley is doing laundry. They are all chatting again. 9:35 p.m. BBT. Vince is talking about how he embarrassed himself one last time during R2 of the final HOH by screaming at a game. Says now it seems like he has solidified a third place finish because it seems like neither Morgan or Ashley will be bringing him to F2 now. 10:30 p.m. BBT. Ashley is back to practicing her F2 speech. Says she plans to reveal that she is a lawyer and was playing like Elle Woods Legally Blonde on purpose. 11:15 p.m. BBT. Ashley plans to mention that there have been many winners of BB who didn't win comps. Also, she talks about how she turned enemies into allies whereas Vince turned allies into enemies. 11:20 p.m. BBT. Morgan is outside now and says it's so funny to her that Dr. Will ended up being the mastermind. 12 MBBT. Ashley is working on planting seeds with Morgan about Vince about how good his game has been. 12:15 AMBBT. Ashley claims that Ava would not have won the season if she had gone to F2. Says that Ava played emotionally. Says if she played based on game, she should have picked Rachel to go first in the safety chain elimination. 12:45 AMBBT. The F3 are hanging in and around the hot tub talking and drinking. 1:15 AMBBT. Ashley tells Vince that she is starting to feel 50-50 about taking him to F2, but that she is leaning toward him because she thinks the jury will be bitter. BBT. 2:30 a.m. All of them are still in the hot tub. Talks are about Dr. Will and Cody Calafiore. 2:50 a.m. BBT. Morgan thinks America isn't going to like her because they will think she wants to date Vince. Adds that the live feeders know that all they did was talk game. 3 a.m. BBT. Talks have turned to whether Keanu would have won if he made it to F2. Ashley says she would have had a hard time voting for him because his social game was so silly. 3:10 BBT. Morgan is now saying she will watch the season, but only with Vince. 3:20 a.m. BBT. Ashley has decided to call it a night. Vince and Morgan stay in the hot tub to drink and chat. 3:25 a.m. BBT. Morgan is asking Vince about his involvement in trying to flip the vote to keep Adrian week 3. He is denying it and she believes him. 3:30 a.m. BBT. Vince tells Morgan that he did tell Keanu that he was safe in his last HOH and regrets doing that. 3:35 a.m. BBT. Morgan says she doesn't want Ashley to win R3. Vince agrees and says he wants Morgan to win and take him. Morgan says if she wins R3, she will beat Ashley in F2, but she isn't sure if she can beat Vince. Vince says there is no way he beats Morgan. 3:40 a.m. BBT. Vince says that if Morgan takes Ashley to F2, he would have to take some time before he can be friends with her after the show. Morgan then tells him that she is getting sick of telling him the same things over and over, that is the consoling since he lost R2. 3:45 a.m. BBT. Vince refuses to give Ava credit for having the best social game when she slept all season. 3:50 a.m. BBT. Morgan is mentioning for the millionth time how hard it's been for her in the game after being called a snake week 1. She is reminded by Vince that she has been calling him a weasel since week 1. She says it's not the same. 4 a.m. BBT. Vince is talking about how Keanu is going to laugh at him when Morgan cuts him at F2. Says Keanu is going to tell him, "I told you so." Vince also mentions that Lauren would have taken him to F2. 4:05 a.m. BBT. Morgan says she isn't going to continue this conversation unless Vince admits that he had a great social game. He says that he had Lauren goggles to her, but Morgan goggles to the rest of the jury. She mentions how Ava told her Vince had a way with words and could sway the jury. Feeds cut. 4:15 a.m. BBT. Ashley has walked back outside to Morgan and Vince arguing. Morgan tells Vince that she would be devastated if they disconnect after the show. 4:20 a.m. BBT. Vince tells Morgan that he has a bad feeling she will not take him to F2 and would just really like for Morgan to be honest about it. She tells him she doesn't know what she is going to do yet. 4:30 a.m. BBT. Morgan says the only way she beats Vince is if she wins the final HOH. Vince says that's great because that's the only way they could end up sitting next to each other. They have both been drinking. 4:45 a.m. BBT. Morgan and Vince are finally heading inside to shower and get ready for bed. 5:25 a.m. BBT. Morgan asks Vince if Kelsey is going to be at finale night and whether she will be proud of him. He says proud or embarrassed and then rehashes his tantrum during R2. While Morgan consoled Vince on his performance in R2 of the final HOH, Ashley prepared her closing arguments for the jury. Throughout the day, Morgan was able to practice her speech, but Vince kept her pretty busy helping him work through his emotions. Morgan and Vince are finally heading to bed after having an hours-long, drunken argument in the hot tub. Fully equipped with a "Lauren would have taken me to F2" comment from Vince. It's going to be a busy couple of days with these two. Sign up now and get Paramount Plus to watch BB27 live and uncensored.